What's going on, everybody? And I am back with another new episode of the Trifecta. As you guys know from last week, Ty is still dealing with some personal stuff. Ahmed, like I said, is no longer with the show. However, we do have another new guest on tonight. He is a new member of Back Sports Page, and he's also trying out for the permanent spot on the show. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Definitely appreciate it, man. Well, like you said, I'm trying out for this new position. My name is Laurent Massey. I kind of have a backstory in journalism. I write for a local newspaper out here. I do really high school sports, basketball, football, softball, baseball, etc. And I'm really, really, really excited to be on, man. Like it's, I don't know if you can tell. I just keep smiling. I can't
Oh
even
yeah.
control my emotions, man. I'm definitely excited and just ready to have a good debate with you, man.
Well, I'm glad you're excited. I'm glad you were able to come on. And so let me ask, where are you from? I know you said you wrote for a local newspaper.
Well, I'm from Georgia, but I'm currently living in Louisiana. It's my dad was in the military, so I just moved from here to there again, and back over here. So I've I've lived in so many places, I tend to lose count. But currently, I'm in it's a small city called Natchitoches, Louisiana. It's about 45 minutes from Shreveport. Shreveport's a bigger city, so most people probably know Shreveport as opposed to little old Natchitoches.
Right, right. Well, like I said, I'm glad you're on. I'm glad you're on. So let's dive right in, my friend. So you mentioned you do a lot of high school sports.
Mhm.
Um, I might as well ask. Obviously, uh, Corona messed up a lot of seasons for high school students. How did that affect any of the high school teams you wrote about? Did you talk to any students about that?
Yeah, actually, I wrote an article a couple of weeks ago during a clinic, and they didn't know what was going on. I don't think nobody really does. You know, they're currently trying to have a way where you can play sports, but especially football, it's kind of difficult since you like this on a person sometimes in the line of scrimmage. Like you can feel the breath or see the other person's breath. But the kids are just, I guess they're just waiting, man. Like they just they don't know anything.
I,
Coach just told them a little stuff, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat with that, just kind of waiting in limbo, waiting for sports to be back. I mean, a few weeks ago I was making jokes saying that I turned on NASCAR because I just wanted to watch anything competitive. People are saying there's cornhole tournaments on ESPN, and I'm like, that's crazy to me. Like, I just miss baseball, I miss basketball, I miss football, I miss it all.
Definitely.
Speaking of basketball, though, do you think we are going to see an NBA restart? Like, do you think it's going to happen, or do you think that's going to get canceled again?
I do not. I don't know how true this is, but on Twitter, a woman came out and she was saying that she had got invited into the bubble. That one of the players there invited her in the bubble, and she was getting a lot of backlash from it. But if it's true and it's that easy to just get in the bubble, I don't see how we're gonna play basketball. Oh, not we, but they're gonna play basketball. Not to mention that Florida is, I think maybe it's official now. It's like another epicenter for COVID-19. So I don't think so. I would love to, of course, but I don't see it happening, man.
That's the issue that I don't think anyone's really been able to answer. Is like, what do these players do? Like, obviously, how do you keep them in check, right? So the NBA says you can't leave the bubble, you can't bring people in, you can't go out to eat, blah blah blah. Then you hear baseball players like Toronto, they're saying, "Oh, you guys can't take Ubers, you can't go to restaurants. NFL can't go to restaurants, can't do this." But it's so easy to break those kinds of rules, right? So, do you think this is going to just be something that we're not going to see any sports this year, or do you think a game like baseball, where it's a little bit more distanced, we might see that?
Uh, yeah, definitely. Probably baseball and soccer. I don't know if soccer is currently, being played. I know I've seen, like small talks and chatter about it. But or not softball, soccer and baseball, that, like you said, it's a sport where nobody's really just sitting courtside. Even with football, the only thing with football is just that the players. But I do think we're gonna get baseball definitely, especially if the MLB finds ways to safely control it. I guess is for the lack of a better phrase. That's really the only way that I see possible of any sports being played because everybody's nervous. I know especially players in the NFL, they're worried about, okay, well, if I decide to sit out, will I still get paid? Will I still, how does this affect my contract? And what if I end up, catching COVID-19? What happens then? And I think it's a lot of questions that are not being answered right now.
That's a good point that you brought up is what happens, right? So obviously, I've talked about it on this show a couple of weeks back. I used the example of Le'Veon Bell, right?
Mm-hmm.
He sat out for a year wanting to get his max contract, whatever, and he ended up taking a little bit less money and going to a different team in the Jets. Now, if a player does hold out, should that affect their pay, right? Like, obviously, there's a lot more than just I want my money. Now it's I want my money, but I also don't want to get sick.
Mm-hmm.
So where does that tie in? Do you think we're going to see teams offering players more money to get them to like incentivize them to be like, listen, like this season's going to happen and like we know you're concerned, but here's more money to like try to pull them in? Or do you think players and teams are going to rather play it safe?
Yeah, no. Especially in football, I can't see Jerry Jones giving players extra money. He's already kind of tight on money the way it is now. And then NFL contracts, they're not really guaranteed. I know it seems like a lot player signs for this much, but only like a fourth of it is guaranteed, and then the rest are incentive. And then to make a comment on how you were saying that, like with Le'Veon Bell, he wanted to sit out. I know with Dak Prescott, I'm pretty sure he was going to sit out training camp because, he wanted a contract. But that kind of takes away that leverage that players have because it's like, okay, well, we're probably not even going to have a training camp anyway. So you can sit out if you want to, or you can do Zoom, meetings. But Zoom meetings really don't, for sports, I don't feel like it really gets too much accomplished because you can't really see if a person's in shape, if they're ready to play, if they're not. So yeah. I don't know if that answers your question or not. I know I tend to kind of fear sometimes.
No, it's good. It's good. Speaking of Zoom meetings, obviously, like you said, they don't really work. And I agree. I mean, they didn't work for my online classes this semester at all. Every time I had a Zoom meeting at 8 a.m. for my math class, I'd put my phone on the desk and pass back out.
But you know that you weren't paying attention. Like,
no, because I turned my camera off. Oh, my camera's busted. Turned it off, and then I just go back to sleep. But no, I'm a good student. I promise.
Yeah, I want that look.
But no, I would be surprised if we saw a basketball season. I would be surprised if we saw a football season. Football's my favorite sport.
Mine too.
And that's all I've been wanting. I actually bought my Patriots Cam Newton jersey.
Oh.
So I'm over here in Boston.
Uh-huh.
Patriots fan, Celtics fan. I'm mad at the Red Sox right now. So this year I'm a Toronto Blue Jays fan.
Man, you gotta stay loyal.
I am loyal. I'm mad at them for the cheating thing.
That's understandable.
So I'm like, this season, I'm mad at you guys. But I will always love the Red Sox. I will always love that team. And then obviously a Bruins fan. But for football, my other favorite team is the Carolina Panthers.
Panthers? Okay, wow. So you're loving it right now. I know it.
I'll tell you a story. So actually, I'll tell you two that kind of work together. So when all the news started like boiling, Tom Brady's leaving New England, Carolina's getting rid of Cam, Carolina's moving on from Cam, I was like, man, I was like the Carolina Panthers are stupid for getting rid of Cam Newton. I was like, but I understand it, and if I'm Cam, I want to get out of that situation. Mm-hmm. I have said this probably 1,000 times already, not even just on this show, but everywhere, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. The Panthers handled Cam Newton's injuries terribly. That the season he got hurt when they were 6-2, he was statistically having a better season than his MVP year. Like he was on track to probably win another MVP award. Mm-hmm. Dirty hit by the Steelers player, whatever it happens, he goes down. You put him back in that game or whatever, or next week you put him back in, and you realize something's wrong because like that's not the Cam Newton we're all used to seeing. You pull him out, like you don't let him play. But no, the Panthers let him play. What was it? 5 more games that season. Then they let him start the following season.
Mm-hmm.
and he got hurt again. So it's like they just did not handle his situation well at all. They kind of did him dirty when they released him. So kind of when all this was starting to like come to a head, Brady's leaving New England. Cam's getting traded or released. I'm like, he's coming to New England. And I was telling everybody that.
Yeah.
I said it on the Zero Technique podcast back in March. I posted it all over Facebook groups and stuff like that. And I vividly remember this because this is really funny. I posted on a Patriots Facebook group and I said, Cam Newton is coming to New England. A lot of you people in here hate him. So what's going to happen when he inevitably joins the team, right? I was like, are y'all going to jump ship? And a bunch of people were like, we won't support the Patriots, blah, blah, blah. I hate him. He sucks. He's this, he's that. And like it got like 300 comments. Like, and I'd say about 70% of them were negative. And so I was like, all right, well, when it happens, like, you better like keep that same energy. Like, we can't, like, we don't want you here. We don't want fans that aren't going to support the whole team. And so all of a sudden, I got a Facebook message in the Back Sports page group. I don't know if you were in there at the time when Cam signed with the Pats. And now I was doing, so I was writing something important on my computer, like it was for a job interview or something. I forget the exact like what I was doing in the moment because I was so excited. But I saw the message. I'm like, no way. I was like, what's the source? Like, I haven't seen anything. Nothing posted. Literally, there was nothing on Twitter, nothing on Bleacher Report, nothing on the NFL app. And all of a sudden, they go, Adam Schefter just confirmed it. So within 30 seconds, I was on that dude's Twitter and I saw it. I screamed so loud that my girlfriend thought I was like getting shot. I was like, oh my God. Like my chair fell. Like it was crazy. And she's screaming at me, you just scared the crap out of me. Granted, her words were a lot more vulgar because she was that scared. But I was so excited. And so some person actually went back almost 40 weeks to that post, found it, and was like tagged me and started laughing at all the other people. So I commented. I commented. I'm like, this post aged like some fine ass wine. And so I was so excited. Cam Newton, in my opinion, is one of the most entertaining quarterbacks to watch. And so it was kind of just like a dream come true for me. So the second his jersey went on sale, I had to buy it.
Definitely. So I have a question for you now. What are your expectations from the season assuming that he's going to be the starter, which I'm pretty sure he is, but you know.
So I don't expect the Patriots to win the Super Bowl, right? I don't even expect them to necessarily win the AFC Championship. What I expect is a 10-6 season or a 9-7 season, something with a positive record that showcases that Cam is healthy, that he's still talented, because the Patriots don't have a lot of weapons, right?
None at all.
We have Julian Edelman, who is aging. We have Mohamed Sanu. And then we have a bunch of young guys who show promise, like Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry, but obviously they're still second-year players. I think N'Keal Harry is going to be one of the biggest weapons for Cam. And if you go listen to the Zero Tech podcast from this past Tuesday, Ryan and I had a guest on. His name's John Laub. He's one of the best people you'll ever talk to. He knows fantasy football inside out and backwards. And we were talking about it, and he was saying that Cam and N'Keal Harry is going to kind of be that like duo. And I'm really hoping that's the case, but I think this is more of a test, right? The Patriots just want to make, like, they're in, I don't want to say win now mode, right? Because the Patriots have been winning for 20 years. Like, it doesn't matter if they win now or rebuild. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter. I think it's more so Belichick wants to prove he can win without Brady, and Brady wants to prove he can win without Belichick. So what's going to happen is Cam and the Pats are going to go like 9-7, 10-6, maybe 11-5 if they're lucky. Cam's going to showcase, look, I'm healthy, I can get the job done, I can win games. And the Patriots are going to go out next season they're going to have $94.2 million in cap space, and then they're going to put weapons around Cam.
Mm-hmm.
That's my expectation. I've heard things ranging from people don't even think Cam's going to make it through the season. They think I'll get cut. I've heard people think that Cam is going to just showcase his talent still and leave and go for the bigger contract. But knowing Cam,
I can see that.
I would say yes. But for how long I've been following Cam, how long I've been following the Panthers, I feel like Cam's loyalty is far more. It's going to take a far bigger precedent than wanting the money. And I think he's going to look at New England and say, look, you guys gave me that chance. You guys gave me the opportunity to prove myself and let me win. And like, you brought me into this culture. And I think he's going to want some money, but I wouldn't be surprised if he took a pay cut and stayed in New England because he wanted to showcase his loyalty for them giving him the opportunity.
I don't know, man. It really just depends on the weapons the following season. It really depends on the weapons that surround Cam, because their defense is, if I'm not mistaken, your defense is still really good, like a top 5 defense.
Number one.
I got you. Let me correct myself. The top defense in the league, and that's what Cam had when he was in Carolina. You know, when they made their run to the Super Bowl, and just if they can keep their defense intact, or even if they lose like small pieces, just be able to find people to where they can just plug in and just find better offensive talent, I think Cam will stay there definitely. And then it's Bill Belichick. Like, in my eyes, I put him and Nick Saban in the same room. Like, they're just, I don't know what they do that's different than everybody else, but it's like they have a way of talking to people to just be like, yeah, like, come on, man, we can make this work right here. If you come here and I put you here, we're gonna win. And sure enough, it happens.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is Bill Belichick is one of the smartest players. He's one of the smartest players, coaches, I should say. He is for the players, right? And he can play to their strengths. Like, it doesn't matter what position, where they go. And the best part is Bill Belichick is a defensive coach. So not only do the Patriots have arguably the best defense in the league, I really can't think of a defense that could be better. But Josh McDaniels now has so many more options of plays that he can draw up for Cam, right? And I'm gonna quote John for a second from, like I said on Tuesday. There's no way that Josh McDaniels isn't calling up Cam right now and saying, hey, what were your 5 favorite plays from Carolina? And let me go draw them up for you, right? So not only are we going to have that, like Cam's 5 favorite plays, we're going to have other plays that are going to be able to showcase Cam, Sony Michel, James White, because James White's a similar player to Christian McCaffrey. Granted, the talent difference is ginormous. Christian McCaffrey is arguably one of the greatest running backs of all time already. But James White, they have a similar skill set. They're both receiving backs. They can both get the ball through. They can both get those first downs, and they can make those tough plays. And so not only is Cam going to have a player that he's somewhat familiar with in James White in terms of the skill set, but people also forget the Patriots signed a wide receiver, Damiere Byrd, and Damiere Byrd played with Cam in Carolina.
Okay, I didn't know they signed him.
So it was a very like under the radar. I remember I only read like 2 things about it, very under the radar, like months ago, and like it hasn't really been talked about. And if I'm not I don't think he's been released yet. I'll have to look into that, but as far as I'm aware, he's still with the team. I mean, this was just a few months ago, so I think that having a familiar face in the locker room for Cam will be good, but also having a playbook that's designed. And one of the things about Belichick is he always goes out and gets what he needs, right? It's in order to be successful in this league, you need a mobile quarterback. Lamar Jackson.
I agree.
Patrick Mahomes. Russell Wilson is even somewhat of a mobile quarterback. Yeah. Josh Allen of the Bills. Like all these guys are mobile quarterbacks, even if their strengths might not be with their legs, like Lamar Jackson or Cam Newton. They are still mobile. They can still scramble out of the pocket. Tom Brady couldn't run more than 5 feet. So like, I love Tom Brady to death, but come on. So
I mean, you're being honest. That is
right. And so if you're the the greatest coach of all time, and you have Josh McDaniels as our offensive coordinator, where you guys worked with Brady for 20 years, yeah, you're gonna be able to dial up some plays with Cam, and it's gonna be you. This season, they're not keeping up with the Chiefs. They're not keeping up with the Ravens. But do I see next year they get weapons? They keep Cam. Cam becomes a little bit more familiar with the organization. Hell yeah, I see them keeping up with those teams.
Yeah, I think offensively, well, really just Cam. Cam makes a huge difference. I don't know why everybody is kind of like sleeping on Cam. I don't know if it's because of the injuries, and although he was playing injured, his numbers are going to go down. But that's anybody. If you play injured, your numbers are going to go down. You're not at 100%, so you can't do the things that you used to be able to do. But it's Cam Newton. This is a guy that led his team to the Super Bowl. He won the MVP. I don't understand. I've never seen an MVP kind of get disrespected like that. Like, I'm a huge Cam fan. Although I'm an Alabama fan, I love my Crimson Tide, Roll Tide, but I'm also a huge Cam fan. And just the way people are just kind of doubting Cam, and if Cam makes a post, it's, oh, look at Cam. Cam said this. Like, why? Like, why are y'all even worried about it? Like, just he is who he is. He makes the league better than it was. In my opinion, the league back then used to be kind of just like, I'll say black and white. Just, okay, you score, you can't really celebrate too much, don't really show your personality. Just get out there and play football and shut up. Right? That's not Cam's MO at all. Cam is he's gonna show his swagger a little bit. He's gonna walk and talk and play like he's the best quarterback ever, or the best player ever. And I love it.
I think you kind of answered your own question in there, why people disrespect him. And
yeah,
I've had this conversation with friends of mine. And it has a lot to do with those injuries, playing hurt. When a player does play hurt, their numbers do drop, but people don't realize that these players are playing hurt, right? Until that news comes out. Mm-hmm. So to them, these players are healthy and they're just slacking. And one example that isn't really talked about is last season, Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry ended up having hip surgery at the end of the year.
I had no clue.
Yep. He was playing hurt, and his numbers weren't as good as kind of everyone expected them to be. Mm-hmm. Everyone was like, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, OBJ, Baker Mayfield. That's a Super Bowl team right there. Well, and I'll admit, I was part of the hype.
Not with Baker. I don't think he's the answer, but
I don't necessarily think he was the answer last year. I think Baker is a very resilient person, and I think he's going to take a lot of that negativity. I think he's going to take a lot of that kind of backlash that he's faced from last year, and he's going to turn it around. I don't necessarily see them going to the Super Bowl, but it would have shocked me if they have a positive record at the end of the year. No. Would it shock me if they made the playoff by wild card? No. But I do believe that, Jarvis Landry is going to have a better season because, like I said, he was playing hurt last year, and that boils back to Cam was playing hurt. Now that everybody knows it, cut the guy slack. Like, let him get healthy, give him the chance. Nah, he's bad. He's bad. He did this. He did that. And it's like, okay. And especially with Patriots fans, they're like, we want to see Jarrett Stidham start. We want to see Jarrett Stidham start. It's like, first of all, Jarrett Stidham played 3 snaps, was sacked twice, and threw a pick 6 on his first attempt. I was like, come on. I was like, there's no logical explanation why you would want an unproven second year to start. And I vividly remember one person was like, well, what about Brady? He was unproven when he took over for Bledsoe. I'm like, yes, Bledsoe also had his head cracked open.
Exactly.
I was like,
completely different. Not to interrupt you.
No, you're totally fine. And like, that's the thing is, yeah, Brady was kind of thrusted into the situation, and it was kind of like a miraculous 1 in a million chance of that ever happening. But you don't see that happen often where a guy gets kind of just thrown in and he does well, especially young players.
Mhm.
So even if Cam is not the future of New England, you give that man a year, 2 years, however long Belichick wants him for, even if they franchise tag him at the end of the year, they give him one more year. Jarrett Stidham sits behind him and learns like I have to be mobile, I have to do this. And
Mhm.
Cam, even when he was injured, was working with his potential replacement, who was Kyle Allen before he was traded to Washington. They don't have a name anymore, but um, before that, Cam was working with Kyle Allen. Cam was injured on the sideline, and he was working with Kyle Allen. And Kyle Allen came out and said, "Yeah, he's teaching me plays. He's teaching me this. We're going over this." And Cam is a team player, and people are saying, he plays selfish ball. He's this, he's that. And I'm like, you know nothing about him. Cam is one of the most selfless people you're ever going to see, and I am sure that all the listeners of this show are tired of me talking about Cam, but I can't talk about him enough because A, I'm such a big fan of him, and B, I believe in giving people a second chance, right?
Mhm.
Let's talk about Antonio Brown for a minute. Antonio Brown, that face, exactly. He came into the Pats, right? He had his issues in Oakland, had his issues in Pittsburgh. He came to New England. He kept, for the 1 week he was in New England, he kept his mouth shut. Before, when he used to talk to reporters, it was, I'm this, blah, 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 going off. 3-word answers, 1-word answers. That's the Patriot way, right?
Mhm.
Antonio Brown fell in line with the Patriots, and everyone, oh man, like this dude, like this is going to be dangerous. Then the allegations came out of sexual assault, stuff like that, and it kind of derailed his career. Now, the biggest thing that got him released was when he sent those text messages to that girl or whatever. I forget the exact situation, but we haven't heard anything about Antonio Brown in months.
Not once. We haven't heard anything about the case. I don't even know if the case has been dropped or anything.
Yeah, and this is something,
which is ironic, but
right? And this is something that I've discussed with other people. Is personally, I felt that a lot of it was a setup because Antonio Brown was in New England.
huh.
But I mean, obviously, they were very serious allegations,
Mhm.
so you can't ever dismiss those either. But we haven't heard anything about him since September. We're coming up on almost a year. We haven't heard a peep about Antonio Brown. I personally think this guy deserves a shot at redemption. Let him back into the league, right? Give him a chance. I don't think he'll be back with New England, but could I see him going to like a Seattle? Could I see him going to a Baltimore? Yeah,
Mhm.
because he let him prove himself, right? If he comes back and he makes noise in the locker room or something, kick him, get him out. You can guys that are willing to prove themselves are willing to sign those low risk, high reward deals,
Mhm.
just like Cam Newton. So there is zero reason for anybody to doubt him. And so that's kind of why I'm so big on talking about Cam, is because I like seeing these guys prove themselves. Another guy that a completely different situation, Dak Prescott. I remember his rookie year, everyone was like, oh my God, Dak is the future of the league. Insanely great quarterback, right? Insanely great his first year. And then, whoop, all the way down. In that first year, I wanted to see Dak
Throw the ball.
succeed. Yeah, but I wanted to see him succeed, right? I was like, I want you to prove yourself. And then years later, he's still kind of garbage.
The same.
Right.
The only reason I believe his first couple years were so good, as people will say they were, because you had a healthy Zeke, and you had at the time the greatest offensive line in the league. Like,
They still do.
hands down, still to this day. Okay.
It's either them or the Indianapolis Colts, but they're both up there, number 1 and 2.
But just even this season when they got a new OC and they made Dak passed the ball more. Yeah, he had a lot of yards, but you didn't win any games. So like, are you really as good as people advertise you? Because me personally, I'd rather take a win over 300-400, passing yards a game, or even 250. If you can throw me 150 yards, at least 1 or 2 touchdowns, and win me a game, I'm fine with that. I don't need the explosive offense as long as it wins me ball games.
You brought up an amazing point. The passing yards. Look at Jameis Winston. This dude threw for over 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 30 interceptions. And that team went 7-9. That's insane. But that's an amazing point. Is passing yards and how much you're passing has nothing to do with the actual game of football. The only thing it's good for is fantasy.
Honestly.
Someone traded me Dak last year because I drafted Drew Brees and he got injured week 2. I rode Dak from week 5 to the championship because he's throwing so many yards. I think I don't hate Dak Prescott. I don't even hate the Cowboys like everybody else does.
Yeah, I'm not a Cowboys fan at all. Not even close.
I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I don't hate that team. But it's just like you're not going to win games that way. And I'm so glad you brought that up because that is going to bring me to my next point. Tom Brady and the Bucs are going to the Super Bowl this year. I am sticking to it. I don't care. I will die on this hill.
I'll say NFC Championship game, definitely. I really still have to see how the Saints are going to come back because the Saints probably on paper have had the best team in the past couple of years. It's just in the playoffs, I don't know what happens. I don't know if the play calling changes on either side of the ball, but something just doesn't click in the playoffs for them. Also, this Drew Brees' first year, but I will say NFC Championship. I will give them that, definitely. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Tom Brady's old. He can't throw the ball. This and this and that." Look what he did last year. He didn't have any weapons last year. Now he's going to a team with Mike Evans. That's it. I don't even have to say the other receivers, but although the other receivers are also great, like you have Mike Evans. Like, this is literally he's getting plugged into the same offense that Jameis Winston was in when he threw for all them touchdowns and all those yards.
And that's my exact point. Tom Brady is going into a situation where he has 2 top 10 wide receivers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. He has Rob Gronkowski back, who he probably won't be the feature tight end, but he brings a presence to that locker room. He brings a familiarity with Brady. But you have O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate, and then they just drafted Keyshawn Vaughn. That team is going to be insane. And not only do they have all these weapons, they drafted pieces to fix their offensive line. So in a Bruce Arians system where you see Jameis Winston throw for 5,000 passing yards and 30 touchdowns, who he just had LASIK corrective eye surgery because he couldn't see where he was throwing the ball, according to him. But now you have Tom Brady. Come on, man. Like, there is no way the team that good that can go 7-9 with a quarterback as bad as Jameis Winston, and then you replace them with the greatest quarterback of all time. That team is going to the Super Bowl.
Like I said, I can see it. It's definitely a potential, but I think we'll see a NFC Championship with them and the Saints if they don't end up playing each other. I know they're in the same division, so I don't know if they'll end up actually playing each other unless they make it to the conference championship. But I'm really looking forward to watching those two teams play.
We get to see it twice a year, and
Exactly.
Brady is gonna mop the floor with that team.
The Saints have a better defense than Tampa Bay, definitely. So I won't say mop, but if they win, it'll be really close. It'll be really close.
Man, I am so excited, and everyone here again in New England is screw Brady, screw Gronk, they're jerks, they're this.
You're gonna turn your back on them, and they brought out all those championships.
Thank you.
Back on them.
Thank you. And that's what I've been saying. Tom Brady gave us the greatest 20 years of our life. Rob Gronkowski was a huge part of a bunch of our Super Bowl wins.
Mhm.
Gronk retired because his body couldn't take anymore. Gronk also said that if he comes back to football, he would only want to play with Brady wherever he goes. He doesn't care where it is.
Mhm.
Those words came out of Gronk's mouth. Brady gave the Patriots a chance to sign him at the end of the year. Brady said, look, I've been taking pay cuts for 20 years. I want $30 million for 2 years, and that's it. And the
Mhm.
Patriots said no. No. They said no. Brady said, all right, bye. Went to Tampa Bay. Now he has weapons. He has a good offensive line. He's got a solid defense. And now he has Rob Gronkowski back with him. It's too perfect.
Not
It's
to
just-
mention Gronk just took a year off, so his body is kind of how it was probably when he first kind of got into the league, as far as just fresh and just having to like that, like, all right, I know I can go run this route and get hit, and I won't just, my whole entire body won't hurt. Like, it might hurt for a little bit, but then after that, I'll be good to go.
Well, the thing is, Gronk slimmed down a little bit, right? He's not as big and muscular. He's not as,
Mhm.
like I said, he's not as big. But Gronk, he's still tall. He still has big hands, and he can still catch over people. So I think Gronk is probably. I don't even know if Gronk will get 50% of the snap counts,
Mhm.
but he's going to be an integral piece of that locker room. I think because of Rob Gronkowski and how fun he is, and the type of person he is, and his personality and what he brings out of others, I think is a lot of reasons why they brought him in. But the Patriots traded him. Like a lot of people don't realize that. It's not like he just up and left. The Patriots traded Rob Gronkowski because when he retired, the Patriots still had the rights to his contract, which wasn't up until the end of next year.
Mhm.
And the Patriots got a 4th-round pick for him. Basically, we had a player we weren't using, and they just gave us a 4th-round pick for him. How is that bad?
Yeah.
But
That's really a win for New England.
it's going to be a very exciting football season, and I cannot wait. I hope it happens. Apparently, I guess they're trying to introduce these like respiratory face masks that go on the player's face guard, and it helps. It's almost like a mask that we would wear out in public.
How would they breathe?
I think it like vents through the bottom, like.
Okay.
But I'm not really sure how it works, but
Mhm.
I have seen a couple players on Twitter kind of complain about them. So again, I'm not really sure how they're going to work, but I mean, I just want sports, man. That's all I want. I'm a big baseball fan, so like I would love baseball to come back.
Mhm.
My top 2 sports are football and basketball. So obviously, if one of them comes on, I'm gonna be the most excited. But I'm honestly just hoping. Like we're in July, we're about halfway through July now.
Mhm.
All I need is July 31st when the Celtics play the Bucks, and that's it. Give me that one game, and then Corona can take it away forever. I just want one game. Like I miss sports that much.
I miss sports so much that I actually don't want to admit this, but I'll admit it. I would watch the 2K tournaments that they would have on ESPN. That's how much I missed it.
I gotta tell you something. So those things annoyed the crap out of me. So I'm a gamer, right? I love playing my Xbox, and I'm not one of those like console wars, PS4 or Xbox. Like I'm not into that stuff.
Mhm.
And I would have a gaming PC if I had more time, but in my free time, I do like to sit down and I'll play like Apex Legends or something.
Mhm.
But occasionally, Apex gets really annoying. I don't know if you've ever played like a battle royale game like Fortnite or something.
I have not. I've watched people play Fortnite, but I've never just played it myself.
So it's a similar style game. Like you have a squad and you run around looking for loot, and then once you get your loot, you go fight other teams, stuff like that. Occasionally, that game gets really frustrating, so I'll log off. I started playing 2K20 like a week ago.
How you like it?
It's fun. I mean, I'm not good at it at all. I will be the first to admit I suck. I managed to get my dude drafted by the Celtics, which was cool, but it's not bad. Every now and again, I'll load it up, and I'm like, I'm gonna just chill, play basketball, and like my big thing is so before obviously COVID hit, I would actually go to the gym that I have on my college campus,
Uh-huh.
and I would just play basketball there. That was like my escape, my getaway, and it was nice to go. I'd be in the gym for a couple hours, shoot around with my friends. Sometimes I'd play a pickup game, but now it's like I can't even do that. And so like I've been missing sports so bad that 2K was kind of keeping my attention.
I'm really big into, like I told you, I'm really big into football. So I've been going back and watching old games between college and NFL. Like that's I don't know if anybody else in the world or anybody else is listening is doing this, but it's kind of similar, although I kind of know it's gonna happen anyway. But
I think a lot of people are in the same boat. I mean, my girlfriend and I, we use YouTube TV,
Mhm.
and so like whenever we throw on YouTube TV, occasionally it's on like ESPN or something, and they'll have reruns of like old Celtics games, and I'll watch those for a few minutes while like we got our popcorn or whatever before we watch a movie. But
Mhm.
it's nice to watch them like from time to time. But it's like for me, it's like I know that if I watch them, I'm gonna just get sucked right in, and that's all I'm gonna be doing for the rest of the night, going back and watching highlights. So
Mhm.
I try to stay away from that a little bit because it's either I'm watching highlights until my eyes bleed, or I'll be able to function for the day.
That's such a hard decision, man.
It is. It's some days you don't want to do anything, and so it's like I just want to. Anyway, so I have a question for you, my friend.
All right, go ahead, man.
So, I have to be fair. I asked Tommy this last week.
Uh-huh.
Tyrone, Ahmed, and I, we covered this our first episode. If you had to pick 4 athletes across all sports, all generations, that you would put on your Mount Rushmore of athletes, who would they be and why?
Oh, that's a hard one, man. Um, kind of caught me off guard a little bit with that one. I'm definitely gonna go with LeBron James first. And this is not in any particular order, of course. This is just me just naming them. LeBron. I chose LeBron just because he kind of made me love basketball. I watched Kobe. I've watched highlights of Jordan. That was I was just kind of born when Jordan was Jordan, so I didn't necessarily get to see it like in person and actually be like, did he really just do that? He did that, didn't he? I didn't get that, so I'm definitely going with LeBron. Also, I'm a Miami Heat fan, so he came and brought us two more rings, so I have to be grateful for that. My next, hmm, Ray Lewis with football, definitely Ray Lewis. He was a leader on and off the field. He had some other allegations against him, but despise all that, like he still was. Like when you seen Ray Lewis, like if you're a running back and you see him looking at you, you're probably gonna get a little scared because if this man hits you, he's gonna hit you. He's gonna hurt you. It's not just I'm just gonna make this tackle to make sure he doesn't get it. No, I'm gonna make sure you never ever run my direction again. Um, Next, Bill Russell. Although it's another basketball person, Bill Russell I think he kind of gets left out of the conversation as one of the greatest basketball players ever. I think he has 11 rings?
Yep.
11 rings. Hey, that's a lot. Although the game, of course, has changed nowadays, but still, 11 rings in any sports era is amazing. Um, my next one would probably be Ken Griffey Jr. Just because I've never been a baseball fan, but being able to watch his highlights and even kind of watch him play a little bit as I was younger, it kind of made me interested in baseball. I actually tried to play baseball, but got hit right here in the face with the ball, so I never even picked up a baseball. But he definitely kind of made me think, like, okay, well, if he can do it, maybe I can do it too. Let me go try it out. And ever since then, like I said, I'm not a huge baseball fan, but I tend to just constantly kind of keep up with the game. So that would be my 4. I think Mount Rushmore is 4, correct?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so that's
So
me. Cool.
I will give you mine. I've repeated it on the show like 3 times, but it's okay. Um,
You might have some
so,
new viewers.
so mine will stay consistent. I will always stay consistent. Again, mine's also in no particular order, but one of mine is Steph Curry.
I can
Uh,
definitely.
so Steph Curry absolutely changed the game of basketball, and I have said this countless times. If you walk into a gym, your local YMCA, a park, or wherever there is a basketball court, maybe 10 years ago or before Steph Curry was drafted, you would see kids driving to the net trying to get the crazy cool layups
Mhm.
or dunk or whatever. That is what you would see anywhere, even in high school and college basketball games. Steph Curry comes into the league and literally revolutionized how we view basketball today with his 3-point shot. Uh, I'd argue that Steph Curry is the greatest 3-point shooter of all time. And
Yeah.
I think that now, if you go to any college, if you go to any basketball court, you're going to see kids jacking up threes left and right,
From
trying to work on their shot anywhere, literally anywhere. And like, I do it, my friends do it. Like, it's normal because that's what is now the normal for basketball.
Mhm.
And I'm going to reference Tommy from last week. He brought up a great point. Back in the day, there was maybe 5 or 6 guys that could do that, because if you jacked up a three and missed, you're getting taken out. So now, like I said, you had Steph Curry paved the way for players like James Harden, who are great on defense, who are able to hit those crazy deep threes.
Mhm.
So Steph Curry, because of how he revolutionized the game of basketball, is in my Mount Rushmore. Just like you, LeBron James is in mine.
Okay. All right. I like it. I love it. I love it.
So LeBron is in mine. Again, it has nothing to do with the GOAT conversation. I really don't think that the GOAT conversation between MJ and LeBron is fair. They're playing in 2 completely different eras of basketball. Uh, LeBron is the GOAT of this generation. MJ was the GOAT of his generation. It's as simple as that. But LeBron is in my Mount Rushmore of athletes because of how many people look up to him. You said it yourself. LeBron is who got you into basketball, right? There are so many little kids, 10 years old, who are idolizing LeBron. There are kids my age who are idolizing LeBron.
Mhm.
And it's just the impact he has had on so many people on the court is one reason. Plus, the impact he has had on millions of people off the court. LeBron opened his own school in Akron, Ohio, that if a kid graduates, he gets a full ride scholarship to college. I think that is it's one of the most incredible things ever. And so for that, LeBron is on my Mount Rushmore. Next, Tiger Woods.
Okay.
Tiger Woods is on my Mount Rushmore. For one, even if you don't know anything about golf, you know who Tiger Woods is. Tiger Woods. One thing. Let me preface with this. Consistency is one of my biggest things. I love consistency in players of any sport.
Mhm.
When I do the Zero Tech podcast with Ryan, we always do different. Who's your top 5 in this different position? And I go based off consistency. If there is a player that is far more consistent than one of the best players in the league, I'm choosing that player. So Tiger consistently has been one of the greatest at golf. Then about 9-10 years ago, however long ago it was, he faced had his addiction problem, had the issues with his wife, he cheated on her, whatever, went to rehab, was out of the game for like 9, 10, 11 years. And then he came back that same year and won a Masters. That is so hard to do. I don't know anybody who could take even a 5-year break from a sport and come back and win. I don't know anybody that could do that. Tiger Woods can.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods is the definition of resiliency. That's why he's in my Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
My 4th spot is very interchangeable. So last week when I was talking to Tommy, I said it was Roger Federer. Do you know who Roger Federer is?
Yeah, tennis player.
Yep. Do you know anything about tennis?
I just know Serena is arguably one of the greatest players, but other than that, no.
Exactly. You know who Roger Federer is, even if you know nothing about tennis. Roger Federer has literally made the game of tennis somewhat mainstream.
Mhm.
But on top of that, on top of Roger Federer, if I was to change him out, it would be for the Williams sisters duo.
Okay.
The Williams sisters duo would probably be my fourth spot, or Roger Federer. I'll talk about the Williams sisters since I talked about Roger last week. The Williams sisters literally redefined what it meant to be a female athlete, especially a black female athlete. They kind of opened that door for so many girls to pursue their dream of becoming an athlete in any sport, whether it was tennis, gymnastics, golf, baseball, softball, whatever it was. You now are seeing a lot more girls go out and try. And obviously it took a long time, but we're even starting to see a lot more girls go out for, little league football and high school football. And it's partly or mostly to thank because of the Williams sisters. And not only were they able to be that kind of revolutionary icon, they are two of the greatest tennis players who have ever graced this earth. And like I just asked you, you know nothing about tennis, how the game works. Like you don't know anything about tennis, yet you know who these girls are. Obviously, we know who Roger Federer is. So that is why those two would be interchangeable in my Mount Rushmore.
Okay. Just to kind of piggyback off of what you said, I definitely agree with you. The Williams sisters have definitely opened the door to so many more opportunities for women, definitely. Because I think we both can probably agree on this. Sports is kind of like I. Let me give you some context behind this. I had a conversation one time when I was in undergrad, and it was me and two of my other friends. One is a woman, of course, and she's also into journalism, and the other one, is a man, and he's into journalism. And she was kind of just talking about some. Oh well, I like this team. And this is why I like them because they do X, Y, Z. And he was just like, well, what do you know about sports? And like everybody in the room just kind of looked at him like what do you mean? Like because she's a woman that she doesn't know anything? And I'll be the first to admit there's more women out here that probably know way more about sports than I do. And I really think the sisters have kind of like opened that.
Absolutely, they definitely have, and that's why they're so high up on my list of all-time athletes. And I'd even argue that if I had to do a top 5 most influential athletes, which I think is kind of bigger than a Mount Rushmore, they'd still be up there.
Mm-hmm.
So they're definitely some sort of an icon for a lot of people. And fun fact, by the way, Serena Williams voiced a minor character in the Avatar: The Last Airbender show.
Really?
Yeah, my girlfriend and I just were looking at a list right before the show started, and she was one of the side. I forget which one, but I thought that was a pretty neat little fun fact.
Never would have known that. Ever.
Nope. It's one of my favorite shows, and I didn't even know that. But I have one last question for you because we're getting a little tight on time.
Already?
So yeah, the show flies by. But again, I asked Tommy this. Tyrone and I answered this a couple weeks ago. If you had to pick one sports moment that you've witnessed that is what got you passionate about sports, the moment that you were like, I love sports, what is that moment?
Man, you coming with some tough questions today. I would have to say the shot. For the people that's listening or viewing, the shot by my definition is when Ray Allen hit the clutch shot to send Miami to overtime that ended up, helping them win their back-to-back, winning back-to-back championships. I just know as a fan, just watching it, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's game over," and I'm just like, "No, man, it's not over yet. It's not over yet." And to just witness the whole transaction of LeBron missing the shot, Bosh getting the rebound, and then dishing it out to Ray Allen, I was just like, Oh my goodness. I think I'm in love like with sports. Like that's just I haven't really had the opportunity to see that many game changing moments like that. In football, it can be something slight like a turnover or a touchdown is game changing. That right there, that's whew, that's my moment, man. What about you?
So for me, it was the 2008 Celtics championship.
Mhm,
A couple weeks ago, I actually got it mixed up. I thought it was 2007
mhm.
because it was so long ago. But I could tell you exactly where I was, what time at night it was, and everything like that.
Mhm,
Um, so the Celtics beat the Lakers in 2008, and the reason why this is it's so weird, right? Because being from Boston, having played sports my whole life, you would guess it's the 2004 Red Sox World Series win. But the reason it was the 2008 Celtics win, I vividly remember this. My mom used to work in like a photography studio that was in a Babies R Us.
uh-huh.
And I remember it was a late night. It was like 9 to 10 o'clock at night. My mom's cleaning up, getting ready to go home. And I was using her work computer and I was on YouTube watching this game. And I
Mhm,
remember it being so late at night and watching this game. And I didn't even really care for basketball back when I was young. I was a big, big baseball kid because that's all I played baseball for 7 years.
Okay.
So I don't know like what it was that just captivated me about the game, but I just remember watching them win the championship, and that moment just stuck with me. It just, for whatever reason, remembering being at my mom's work and being on her work computer, and I made my YouTube account, or my old YouTube account before, like when I was a little kid, and I named it Celtics fan after the Celtics
Uh-huh.
because I was just so excited that they won. And I can't tell you why. I can't tell you any really any reason, but it just so happened to be that. Um, I don't know why. I couldn't tell you, but it was just for whatever reason it's the one that's always stuck with me, and I think that's kind of where my passion for sports began,
Mhm.
which, like I said, is weird because I always played sports. I remember watching the 2004 Red Sox World Series, the 2007 World Series. Like, obviously, I remember those, and like those are some of my favorite sports moments.
Mhm.
But for whatever reason, like I feel like it just didn't click until uh, this one.
Okay.
Anyway, I that's about all the time we have. So do me a favor.
I got
Why
you.
don't you tell all of our listeners where they can find you, your Twitter, whether you use Instagram, whatever you're comfortable giving them out. Tell them some of the content you have coming up on Back Sports page, and just tell everyone where to find you.
Okay, well, definitely, if y'all are not already kind of just like paying attention to back sports page, make sure that y'all tune into that. There's always a lot of articles coming out. I have a article coming out soon about the Pelicans. If I get lucky enough, maybe one about the Saints. Although I'm not a Saints fan, it's strictly business. But that and on Twitter, you can follow me at infamous LM21. Same thing for Instagram. I also am a sports photographer, so I have some of my work on there as well. So that's about it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And as always, you guys can find me at Journalist J0 on Twitter. You can find me at Jared0 on Facebook. Don't forget, check out Backsports page, www.backsportspage.com. Follow Backsports page on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, any form of social media. Follow Back Sports page. We always have great content coming up. Name a couple podcasts. We have the Exit Velo podcast, which is a baseball one. We have the Zero Technique Football podcast, which I am on. That is a football centric podcast. Hopefully, we're going to be starting up a hockey podcast very soon for the site. There's the Hardwood Huddle with Bill and Randy, two of the biggest names for Back Sports page. Again, everyone, thanks for watching. Don't forget to check us out next Friday. And Laurent, you have a great night.
All right, man. Thank you for everybody viewing too. Y'all also have a good night. All right, later.